That feeling of being abandoned by God, that hollow echo in your heart when you pray into silence. What if it's not a spiritual failure on your part, but a predictable psychological trigger? Today, God reveals the truth behind the silence you've been experiencing, and He is giving you the key to finally break through it. The sense of being alone in your faith is one of the most painful experiences a believer can face. You go through the motions, you say the right words, but the feeling of connection is gone. You see others talk about their vibrant relationship with God, and you wonder what you're doing wrong. The stakes are immense. This feeling of divine abandonment can lead to a crisis of faith, causing you to doubt everything you once held dear. It can make you feel like a spiritual imposter. But God's message for you today is one of profound reassurance and deep understanding. The reason you feel this way isn't what you think. It's not because He has left you, and it's not because you have failed Him. We are about to explore the fascinating intersection of faith and psychology, to understand the concept of divine struggle, and reveal how your very brain can be wired to feel this way during certain seasons. More importantly, we will uncover the scientifically backed spiritual truths that build unbreakable resilience and prove God's presence, even when you can't feel it. Your season of spiritual loneliness is not a destination. It's a passage. And today, you are being given the map to navigate your way back to connection. Feel the quiet despair of unanswered prayer, the heavy weight of a silent heaven. That very feeling is the starting point for a deeper, more mature faith than you have ever known. The God who feels distant is actually closer than your own breath, engineering a situation that will ultimately draw you nearer to His heart. The journey out of this silence begins now. One of the primary reasons we experience these seasons of divine silence is a psychological phenomenon known as spiritual dryness, or what the 16th century mystic St. John of the Cross famously termed the dark night of the soul. This is not a sign of God's displeasure. On the contrary, it is often a sign of profound spiritual progress. It's a period where the initial emotional consolations of faith are withdrawn, forcing you to move from a faith based on feelings to a faith based on pure trust. Your brain, which has become accustomed to the positive emotional feedback of prayer and worship, the release of dopamine and other feel-good neurochemicals, suddenly finds that the reward is gone. This withdrawal can feel exactly like abandonment. Imagine the feeling of being in a dark room, fumbling for a light switch that has always been there, only to find it gone. This disorienting experience is a spiritual tool God uses to purify your motives. He is asking you, do you love me for the feelings I give you, or do you love me for who I am? This period of perceived silence is an invitation to a deeper intimacy, one that is not dependent on emotional highs. It is in this silent darkness that the roots of your faith are forced to grow deeper, searching for the living water of pure trust, far below the surface of your fluctuating emotions. But what about the anxiety that comes with this feeling? Research in the field of psychology and religion has consistently shown that a strong spiritual belief system is generally associated with lower rates of anxiety and depression. It provides what experts call a meaning-making framework, which helps individuals cope with life's difficulties. However, when that connection feels severed, it can create a spiritual crisis that actually heightens anxiety. The very thing that once brought you comfort now becomes a source of distress. This is a normal part of the process. Your mind is trying to make sense of the perceived disconnection. It's searching for a reason, and often it defaults to self-blame. I must have done something wrong. God must be punishing me. This is where a crucial shift in perspective is needed. God's message is to reframe this anxiety. Instead of seeing it as a sign of your failure, see it as a signal of your deep desire for connection. The pain you feel is a testament to how much you value your relationship with Him. Feel the knot of anxiety in your stomach when you think about this. That physical sensation is not a spiritual judgment. It's a human response to a perceived loss of connection. God is asking you to sit with that feeling, not as an enemy, but as a messenger, telling you how precious your bond with Him truly is. The key to breaking through the silence lies in shifting your spiritual practices from seeking a feeling to practicing a discipline. This is where faith becomes an active verb, not a passive noun. It involves choosing to believe God's promises even when your emotions are telling you a different story. One of the most powerful tools for this is the practice of gratitude. Psychologically, gratitude has been shown to rewire the brain, shifting focus from what is lacking to what is present. When you intentionally thank God, even for the smallest things, you are training your brain to see His handiwork everywhere. It's like tuning a radio to a new frequency. The broadcast has always been there, but now you are adjusting your receiver to pick it up. Imagine the simple act of making your morning coffee. In a state of spiritual dryness, it's just a routine. But with intentional gratitude, you can thank God for the warmth of the mug, the aroma of the beans, the simple gift of a new day. This small act of faith cuts through the emotional fog and declares, "Even if I don't feel you, I will acknowledge your goodness." This discipline builds new neural pathways of faith, making your brain more resilient to periods of emotional silence. Another powerful key is immersing yourself in Scripture, not as a textbook, but as a collection of promises. The Bible is filled with accounts of people who felt abandoned by God. David in the Psalms, Job in his suffering, even Jesus on the cross crying out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Reading these stories reminds you that you are not alone in your experience. It normalizes the struggle. Furthermore, when you read and speak God's promises out loud, you are engaging in a cognitive practice that reinforces truth over feeling. When you declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are actively fighting against the feeling of lack and abandonment. The sound of your own voice speaking truth can be a powerful anchor in a sea of emotional turmoil. This is not about pretending. It's about proclaiming a deeper reality than the one your feelings are currently reporting. The silence is not an absence of God, but an invitation to listen in a new way. He is weaning you off of faith that relies on emotional validation and leading you into a robust, unshakable trust that is forged in the fire of His perceived silence. This dark night is not a punishment. It is a promotion. It's the sacred space where boys become men and girls become women of faith. You are learning to walk by faith, not by sight or by feeling. The loneliness you have felt is being transformed into a profound sense of self-sufficiency in Him alone. The breakthrough is here. It's the realization that God's presence is a fact, not a feeling. His promise to never leave you nor forsake you is true whether you are on the mountaintop of emotional ecstasy or in the valley of spiritual dryness. Your feelings are real, but they are not the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality is His unchanging character and His unbreakable promises. The key He is giving you today is the key of trust. It's the choice to believe His word over your emotional weather report. You are breaking through not by feeling something new, but by believing something true. This period of aloneness is ending, not because the feelings are returning, but because you have discovered that you were never truly alone at all. He was there in the silence, deepening your roots, strengthening your faith, and preparing you for a new level of intimacy you could not have reached any other way. The silence was an act of love. If you find insights like this helpful, consider following for more content that explores the deeper dimensions of faith.